I'm the type of person, you know, I like to see the good in people. I like to, like give people the benefit of the doubt. But yo, listen, some people, they just don't deserve that, and they just deserve to burn in hell.
One month ago, 27-year-old Josephine Tarwai was found dead in her apartment. Her family says they still don't know how she died, but those circumstances surrounding her death, they've led them to believe that something nefarious has happened to her.
September 28th, 2025. A family in Minnesota tries calling their daughter in Atlanta. Once, twice, 10 times. Nothing, just silence. No texts, no social media updates, just dead air. They panic, of course they do, so they call Atlanta police and beg them to check on her. Just knock on the door, make sure she's okay. That's all they want. But the police say no. They say the request has to come from Minnesota, so the family calls Minnesota police. Minnesota files the request, and then nothing happens.
They start calling Atlanta to file for a welfare check. Atlanta police says, you can't file for a welfare check. You guys have to file for a welfare check in Minnesota.
2 full days pass. 2 days of silence. 2 days of waiting. 2 days while 27-year-old Josephine Tarwai lies dead in her apartment. When police finally walk through her door on September 30th, they find her naked and alone in her bed. The official report says no crime, natural causes, they claim, maybe a diabetic episode. But then Josie wasn't diabetic. And natural causes don't explain the scratches on her neck. They don't explain her broken fingernails. They don't explain the busted lock hanging loose on her door. They don't explain her belongings thrown across the room like someone had been searching for something. Her family sees all of this and knows something is wrong, but the police, they just shrug and walk away. So here's the question. Was this just a tragic mistake? Or did someone get away with murder because the system didn't care enough to look? Welcome to Crazy Dark Files. Right now there are thousands of women like Josie who are being stalked, feeling unsafe, and telling people about their fears, completely unaware that those fears are about to become reality. If you want to help spread awareness about stalking, victim stigma, and the warning signs that could save innocent lives, then please like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel. Your action now could help protect another woman who might be in danger. Her name was Josephine Tarwai. Everyone called her Josie. She was 27 years old, born and raised in Minnesota. To her family, she was everything. Her brother Joseph would later say she was the glue that held them all together. The kind of person whose presence made everything feel right. The kind of person whose absence leaves a hole that nothing can fill. Josie wasn't just a daughter or a sister. She was ambitious. She had dreams. She wanted more than what Minnesota could offer, so she packed up and moved to Atlanta to chase those dreams. In Atlanta, Josie worked as a dancer at Gold Rush Show Bar, a club just 2 minutes from her apartment. But that was only one part of who she was. Josie was also a nail technician. She loved doing nails and took pride in keeping her own perfectly done, always. She was a TikTok creator with a growing following. She hosted a podcast. She was building something, creating content, connecting with people, making her mark online. Josie was single. She had no children. Her closest relationships were with her family back in Minnesota, especially her brother Joseph. They talked all the time. She stayed in touch with her friends, too. That's just who she was. Loyal, caring, the type of person who always answered when you called. Her routine in Atlanta was simple and predictable. Same road home from work every night. Same apartment. A life that should have been safe. Friends described Josie as vibrant and creative. She had energy. She had plans. She was the kind of person people were drawn to. And her family? They loved her deeply. She wasn't just their daughter or sister. She was their heart. When Josie died, the impact on her family was devastating. Her mother collapsed from grief just hours before the funeral. The pain was so overwhelming that her body simply gave out. Her brother Joseph described the family as broken and crushed, the kind of pain that sits in your chest and never leaves. At the funeral, her father made a promise. He said Josie's death would not go in vain. He said they would fight, and they have, every single day since. Because Josie wasn't just a statistic. She wasn't just another case file. She was a real person with real dreams. And she deserved better than what she got. Before Josie died, something was already wrong. She knew it. She felt it, and she told people about it. Friends say that in the weeks leading up to her death, Josie confided in them about being stalked. She felt watched, followed, like someone was always just a few steps behind her. She told people she didn't feel safe. But here's the problem. Nobody took it seriously enough to do anything about it. No formal investigation was launched. No police report was filed that we know of. Her fears were heard, but they weren't acted on, and that failure may have cost Josie her life. Her brother Joseph believes Josie may have rejected someone. Maybe it was someone she worked with at the club. Maybe it was a patron who came in night after night and saw her on stage. Maybe it was someone she was talking to who couldn't handle being told no. Joseph thinks it could have been someone who decided that if he couldn't have her, nobody could. That kind of obsession, that kind of rage. Josie worked at Gold Rush Show Bar just 2 minutes from her apartment. Same route home every night, same schedule. If someone wanted to watch her, follow her, learn her patterns, it would have been easy. And the thing is, Josie knew something was off. She felt the danger. She spoke up. But the system didn't protect her. This is the part that haunts her family the most. The what-ifs. What if someone had listened? What if police had taken her seriously? What if there had been a restraining order, a welfare check, anything? Would Josie still be alive? We'll never know, because by the time anyone paid attention, it was too late. Josie's friends told her family after her death that she had expressed concerns about being stalked. But when police were asked about it, they said there was no evidence of foul play. They dismissed the idea that someone might have hurt her. Her family couldn't believe it. How do you ignore a young woman's fears? How do you ignore the fact that she told people she was being followed? How do you ignore all of that and then call her death natural causes? The tension had been building for weeks. Josie felt it. Her friends knew about it. But no one with the power to help her did anything. And then she was gone. September 28, 2025. Josie stops answering her phone. Her family in Minnesota tries calling. Once, twice, 10 times. Straight to voicemail. No response. No texts back. No updates on social media. Just silence. For a family that talked to Josie regularly, this was alarming. She always stayed in touch, always, so when the calls went unanswered, they knew something was wrong. They immediately called Atlanta Police Department and asked for a welfare check. All they wanted was for someone to go knock on Josie's door and make sure she was okay. That's it, a simple request that could have saved everything. But Atlanta PD said no. They told the family they couldn't file a welfare check from out of state. The request had to come from Minnesota authority. So the family contacted Minnesota police. Minnesota filed the request with Atlanta. And then nothing happened. Atlanta PD sat on that request for 2 full days. 2 days while Josie lay dead in her apartment. 2 days while evidence degraded. 2 days while the truth slipped further and further away. By the time officers finally showed up on September 30th, Josie had been dead for 48 hours. Let me explain what a 48-hour delay does to a case. Body temperature normalizes to room temperature within 24 hours, making it nearly impossible to determine an exact time of death. Rigor mortis peaks and then starts to fade. DNA evidence degrades, trace evidence like hair, fibers, and fingerprints disappear, witnesses forget details, surveillance footage gets recorded over. Every single hour that passes makes finding the truth harder, and in this case, the police gave it 48 hours to rot. The family believes Josie died on September 28th, the same day they begged police to check on her, the same day officers could have secured the scene, preserved evidence, and started asking questions while answers were still fresh. But they didn't. And now the trail is cold. If you've ever had to fight bureaucracy to protect a loved one, share your experience. Your voice matters. September 30th, 2025, 2 days after the family's first call. Police finally enter Josie's apartment. What they find should have triggered an immediate homicide investigation, but it didn't. Josie was lying in her bed, naked and alone. The official incident report from Atlanta Police Department labeled the case as death, no crime. They suggested natural causes, maybe a diabetic episode, they said. There was just one problem. Josie wasn't diabetic, she was healthy. Her family confirmed this over and over again. But even if you ignore that, natural causes don't explain what the family saw when they arrived at the apartment 2 days later. The lock on Josie's door was busted, hanging loose like someone had forced their way in or out. Inside, her belongings were thrown around, clothes scattered, a money counter left out. The room looked like someone had been searching for something or like there had been a fight. And then there was Josie's body. The family hired a private investigator named Robin Martinelli to examine the scene and Josie's body. Martinelli is a licensed, experienced investigator in Atlanta, and what she found was impossible to ignore. Josie had scratches on her neck, bruises that looked like fingertips. Her fingernails were broken and chipped, every single one. The family confirmed that Josie always kept her nails done. Always. She took pride in that, so those broken nails didn't happen by accident. Martinelli said it looked like there had been a struggle. These were defensive wounds, the kind you see when someone is fighting for their life, when someone's hands are around your throat, and you're clawing, scratching, doing anything you can to break free. This wasn't natural causes, this was violence. So Martinelli did what any investigator would do. She tried to hand the evidence over to Atlanta police. She called them, explained what she found, offered to provide photos and documentation, everything they would need to reopen the case as a homicide. They ignored her. She was told to show up in person, request an officer, and wait for someone to come collect the evidence. So she did exactly that. She showed up, she waited, and nobody came. Nobody cared. But the problems didn't stop there. The police also gave the family 2 completely different stories about how they entered Josie's apartment. First, they said the door was barricaded, that they had to force their way in.
We believe something happened to her because of a lot of the false narratives that we've got. The police told us that her room was barricaded. Now they say her room wasn't barricaded. They told us that they forced entry into her apartment. Then they said that the apartment people opened the door with a key for them.
A barricaded door suggests someone was trying to keep people out, or maybe keep something in. Then the story changed. Suddenly, police said the apartment manager let them in with a key. No forced entry, no barricade, just a routine unlocked. So which one was it? Because both can't be true. The family was devastated, not just by Josie's death, but by the indifference they faced. They had just lost their daughter, their sister, the glue that held them together, and the people who were supposed to help them find answers didn't even care enough to get their story straight. Her mother collapsed from grief. Her brother was left begging for someone to listen. And the police? They just walked away. The family knew they weren't getting answers from Atlanta police, so they did what they had to do. They hired Robin Martinelli, a private investigator, to find out what really happened to Josie. Martinelli went to work immediately. She examined Josie's body. She documented the broken nails, the scratches, the bruises. She visited the apartment and saw the busted lock and the scattered belongings. She gathered evidence that police should have collected from day one. But when she tried to hand that evidence over to Atlanta PD, they ignored her. She showed up, she waited, and nobody came. The family was furious. They had traveled hundreds of miles from Minnesota to Atlanta, desperate for answers, and the police wouldn't even talk to them. Then something changed. A reporter from 11 Alive, a local news station, reached out to the family for an interview. The story was about to go public. And suddenly, minutes before that interview was set to air, Atlanta police called the family. It was the first time they had heard directly from APD since Josie's body was found. Not because it was the right thing to do, not because justice demanded it, but because bad press was coming and they needed to get ahead of it. Joseph, Josie's brother, said it perfectly.
It took getting help from you guys to get a phone call. Police are calling me, asking me, what do I think happened? I want to know what they think happened.
As of now, the case is still open. The official medical examiner's report is pending. It could take up to 90 days, maybe longer. That report will either confirm the police's story or prove the family right. But here's the thing. The damage is already done. Evidence is gone. The scene was left unprotected for 48 hours. DNA degraded. Witnesses moved on. Surveillance footage was likely recorded over. Whatever truth was waiting to be found is now much harder to reach. The family believes part of the problem is how Josie was treated because of her job. She worked as a dancer, and they think that's why police didn't take her case seriously. Like her life didn't matter as much. Like her death didn't deserve the same urgency. Standing outside Josie's apartment, her father made a promise. Josie's death will not go in vain. We will fight. And they have, every single day since. Josie's case exposes serious problems in the system, problems that cost her life and left her family without answers. First, the delayed welfare check. Bureaucratic confusion between Minnesota and Atlanta meant that 2 full days passed before anyone checked on Josie. 2 days that destroyed evidence and made finding the truth nearly impossible. Second, the dismissal of evidence. Clear signs of a struggle, broken nails, scratches, bruises, a busted lock, were ignored. Police labeled it no crime without waiting for an autopsy. They suggested natural causes despite the physical evidence saying otherwise. Third, the stigma. Josie worked as a dancer at Gold Rush Show Bar. Her family believes that's why police didn't take her case seriously. Like her profession made her less worthy of a real investigation. Like her life didn't matter as much. Joseph said it best. It's very demoralizing. You kind of lose a lot of faith. And fourth, the failure to act on stalking reports. Josie told friends she was being followed. She felt unsafe, but no formal investigation was launched. Her fears were dismissed. And then she turned up dead. The emotional toll on the family has been unbearable. Her mother collapsed from grief. Her brother described them as broken and crushed. They're fighting for answers while dealing with pain that never goes away. But this isn't just about one family. Josie's case reflects bigger problems in how society treats certain victims. Women in stigmatized professions are often ignored. Stalking reports are brushed off. Welfare checks get delayed by red tape, and families are left to fight for justice on their own. Josie's father said her death will not go in vain, but how many other cases like this have been swept under the rug? How many other families have been told there's nothing to see here? The answer should terrify all of us. Josie's death didn't have to happen, and cases like hers can be prevented if we make real changes to how the system works. First, we need to take stalking seriously. Stalking is a warning sign. It's a red flag for violence. When someone says they're being followed, being watched, feeling unsafe, we need to listen. Law enforcement needs to treat these reports with urgency. Early intervention can save lives. If Josie's concerns had been taken seriously, she might still be alive today. Second, we need to remove the stigma around victims' professions. Every victim deserves a thorough investigation. It shouldn't matter if someone works as a dancer, a sex worker, or anything else. Their life has value. Their death deserves answers. Police need training to challenge their own biases. Policies need to change to ensure equal treatment for everyone. Third, welfare checks need to be streamlined. Bureaucratic delays can be deadly. Police departments need clear, rapid protocols for welfare checks, especially when families are calling from out of state. Technology can help. Online portals, direct lines, and better cooperation between agencies should be standard. 2 days is too long. 2 hours is too long. Fourth, evidence needs to be preserved immediately. When police respond to a death, they need to secure the scene right away. Collect forensic evidence, interview witnesses, take photos. Don't assume it's natural causes and walk away. Once evidence is lost, it's gone forever. Fifth, we need accountability and transparency. Law enforcement agencies need to be held responsible for their failures. Independent oversight can help. Body cameras should be required. Public reporting of how cases are handled should be standard. When police give conflicting stories or ignore evidence, there need to be consequences. And finally, families need support. Losing a loved one is devastating. Fighting for answers while grieving is even harder. Victim advocacy groups and community organizations need to step up, offer emotional support, provide legal resources, help families navigate the system, and keep pressure on authorities. Josie's family shouldn't have had to hire a private investigator. They shouldn't have had to beg the media for help. The system should have worked for them from the start. What changes do you think would have saved Josie? What should be done to prevent this from happening again? Let us know in the comments. As of now, Josie's case remains unresolved. The medical examiner's report is still pending. It could take up to 90 days, maybe longer. That report will either confirm what the family already knows, or it will side with the police's version of events. But even when that report comes out, the damage is done. Evidence has been lost, the trail has gone cold, and whoever hurt Josie may never face justice. The family continues to fight. Joseph and his father have made it clear they won't stop until they get answers. They've hired investigators, they've spoken to the media, they've done everything they can to keep Josie's story alive. But they shouldn't have to do this alone. Josie's story is about more than one young woman's death. It's about how easy it is for someone to die and for the system to just shrug. It's about how victims get forgotten when society decides their lives don't matter as much. It's about the pain families endure when the people who are supposed to help them turn their backs instead. Josie was 27 years old. She had dreams. She had people who loved her. She deserved better than to be written off as no crime. If you have any information about what happened to Josie, please contact Crime Stoppers Greater Atlanta. You can also use the P3 Tips app. Even the smallest detail could make a difference. To Josie's family, we see you, we hear you, and we won't let her be forgotten. If Josie's story moved you, don't let it end here. Like, share, and subscribe to keep her memory alive and demand justice for all victims. Because every life matters, every victim deserves answers, and every family deserves the truth.